This build took a lot out of me. Not all the build ideas that you come up with are going to end up being something that's super amazing. Sometimes it's just about creating something new, and that's always fun. Today, I want to take you guys through the process of making this Invis Titan build, from coming up with the idea in the beginning to the actual finished product. Before Arc 3.0 came out, there was a mod that I had in mind, Overcharge Well Maker. Whenever you finish an enemy, it creates 2 arc wells. This is one of the few elemental well mods that actually gives you multiple wells on just doing one action. Now that Arc 3.0 is out, I started looking for an exotic to pair with this to see if I can make a fun build out of it. Aeons came to mind as a finisher exotic, but it's also pretty boring with what it does, so I decided to use Severance Enclosure instead, since I'm going to be playing on the Titan. Every time you use a finisher or melee, you cause an explosion around you that can kill nearby enemies. So every time we finish something, we make 2 arc wells, and we also cause an explosion. So far, so good. I used Arc, Mark's Resilience, and hopped in a Master Law sector and immediately realized that there was an issue. I need to weaken enemies to make them finishable, which meant I would shoot enemies till they're almost dead, and then instead of just killing them off, I stopped just to be able to use my finisher to make the build work. It just didn't feel natural, but I had a simple idea to fix that: Reactive Pulse. The mod has 2 perks that work perfectly with what we already have going on in our build. You get a strong overshield while you're doing a finisher, and the second part fixes our main problem. While charged with light and surrounded, you create an arc wave that shocks enemies, which weakens most enemies enough for us to be able to finish them. So now you don't have to walk up to enemies and try to shoot them, weaken them enough to be able to finish. It's gonna happen automatically. You just gotta be surrounded, you'll emit that shock, and now you can finish. So now I have a foolproof plan: shock, finish, explode. And this worked good, but I still had issues because I would die sometimes trying to get close enough to finish enemies. So then I decided to try a different subclass. Since I wasn't using arc wells much anyways, I chose Void because I remembered it has a fragment which allows you to go invis after you finish something. If they can't see me, and I'm probably not going to be able to die to them, but what happened next wasn't something that I was expecting. You probably remember when Void 3.0 came out and hunters were able to stay invis permanently even while killing things. Well, you can do something pretty similar to that on the Titan now. Whenever you use a shield bash while you're invisible, you actually stay invisible during that, and you can obviously kill a bunch of stuff. So this means if you do this properly, you can finish something, go invisible, shield bash a bunch of things, kill them all, stay invis, and then finish something again to be able to repeat the cycle and stay invis the whole time. So at this point, I'm excited because I know I have something that I can work with. So I set up the subclass, add some mods, and make sure that the stat distribution is something that I want. Usually when I'm making any build that has something to do with melee spam, my go-to mod is always heavy-handed, because it gives you 50% of your melee charge back as far as you charge with light, which is huge. Most of the time, with all the kills and elemental wells that spawn, this just pretty much gives you your melee back sometimes without you even noticing that it only provided half to add to everything else that you had. But with this build, there was a very interesting mod that worked perfectly and synergizes really good with this build. The mod is called 1-2 Finisher. It takes away 1/6 of your super energy and gives you your full melee back in return. Since with this build we're going to be going from finisher to melee, back to finisher to melee, you'll always have that melee charge to be able to keep that cycle going. So it's pretty insane. If you're worried about how much super energy that you're losing, you're going to be getting so many kills that this wouldn't matter that much. On screen right now, I have all the mods and the subclass setup that I used for the build. If you're not familiar with the subclass, aspects, fragments, or mods and things like that, and you want me to go more in depth with it, you can leave a message in the comment section below and I'll go through that with you, or you can check me out live on Twitch. I'll leave the link in the description below. The point of this video was more of showing you guys the process of me coming up with a new build, how I started, what ideas I had, and how it ended up. This way you guys can see the process that I sometimes go through.